What up, guys, and welcome to your Fightful MMA watch-along for UFC 258. I am joined right now by Spencer Kite. How's it going, man? Oh, local, just down the road from me. I didn't even know.
Just down the road, not too far, about 45 minutes east of you here in Abbotsford. So, yeah, an all-BC edition for this event.
We did start a few minutes early, but Ian Heinisch is making the walk to the octagon, so I thought, why not just get on it? For those who tune in every week, I imagine you noticed we didn't do the entirety of the main card. Well, it just wasn't. Content-wise, it was a lot of fun, but I think moving forward, we might be a little more selective with how long we run. Instead of doing like a 3-4 hour stream, we might just dedicate it to the bigger fights. Sometimes that'll be the whole main card. On a fight night like next week, it might just be the main or the main and co-main. So I think that's kind of the plan moving forward. But let us know if you're super lonely. Hit us up in the live chat. Maybe it's something we can toy with more moving forward. All right, Spencer, do I call you E or do I call you Spencer? And I think what anyone
Spencer
on Twitter who follows you has probably asked or has wondered, what does the E stand for?
So the E stands for Edgar. I'm named after my paternal grandfather, Edgar Gordon Levy. But I've always been called Spencer. It is my parents made that decision. My mom thought E. Spencer Kite would sound really good as a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. I've at least turned it into a byline. So, I mean, it's not bad, but it makes for a lot of hassles with like membership cards in places and things like that because they just go with the name that you use all the time. And so,
yeah, I mean,
not to always present ID at places.
Not to say you let your mama down, but I can't imagine the MMA paycheck is quite equivalent to that.
Nowhere near the lawyer or doctor standard, but
we're having fun watching fights on a Saturday night, right?
Cool. Yeah, she's happy.
I agree. That's good to hear. Okay, so guys, tonight we're streaming live on Fightful MMA YouTube as always. My Periscope, Sean Ross Sapp's Periscope taken over there. We're also doing all the UFC pay-per-views on Fightful Pro Wrestling. Just the pay-per-views. The fight nights will still be exclusive to Fightful MMA, and we're on Facebook as well. So if you guys are all over the sphere, I recommend hopping over to the YouTube live chat. That's probably the most cohesive place to engage the community. Plus, if you're feeling generous, that's where you can leave us a little super chat donation on a snowy day in BC. All right.
Yeah, that was surprising to wake up to this morning. I didn't look ahead. I don't really look at the forecast on the weekend because I don't have to get up. My wife doesn't have to get up. We can just hang out. But got up this morning and was like, wait, where did this come from?
Yeah, it was quite the surprise. But I will say, after that disaster, guys, if you're not living in Vancouver, I assume most of you aren't. About like 5 years ago, there was a huge snowstorm and the city was just ill-equipped. I don't know if you experienced it in Abbotsford, but it looked like a zombie wasteland. I would drive over hills and every street I turned to, there were cars in ditches, cars colliding. I was on a bus one time. It turned sideways and started sliding back down the road into a pole. It was insanity.
It's crazy how ill-equipped British Columbians or the lower mainland tends to be.
We had so much snow for like most of my life, and then one year it just went away. And it didn't come back for quite a while, and here we are. But I got to work easy today. Okay, quick prediction: Kelvin, Gastelum, Ian Heinisch. Who you got?
I got Gastelum. I think obviously he needs this one. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. I think it's one of those ones though that we see the 3 straight losses and you forget that it started in a championship fight. There was 2-2 going into a brutal one, and a hell of a fight. And then it's a split decision to Darren Till that, go back and watch it again. Maybe you score it the other way. So I think he's that little bit of a different level. We'll see, right? This is the kind of fight you want to see.
Yo, who is the betting dude? Giannis?
Yes.
Oh man,
Johnny the Greek.
Oh man. I don't. He was saying put money on Heinisch on this one. I like Ian Heinisch. Another guy, if you don't know Ian Heinisch's story, in an attempt to escape American authorities, he actually crossed the border illegally and was hiding out in our neck of the woods for a while. I met him in person. Great guy. Presumably now we talked a lot about prison reform. It was super interesting. But I respect him. I think he's got a lot of power. He's definitely a top 15 guy. I don't know about picking him over Kelvin Gastelum.
This is sort of the fight he needs, right? He had that good start where he got 2 good wins out of the gate against a pair of tough Brazilians in Cesar Mutante and Antonio Carlos Jr. But then when he stepped up into those first kind of top 15 fights, he struggled, losing 2 straight fights. And so this is the one he needs to prove that he's got that top 10 ability.
So I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Do you guys stream the fights? No, we don't, because then Dana White would be bringing the Cuban Missile Crisis to our house. And second, Spencer, is it possible to turn down your volume a bit? It's bleeding through, and I wouldn't care, except for the fact that it might get our video pulled.
We're down. There we go. Better?
Yeah, I don't hear anything. If anyone in the chat does, please let us know. All right. Here we go. Wow. Didn't expect this. Ian Heinisch immediately takes the back. Kelvin with a nice scramble.
Expect Ian Heinisch to come out and just look to wrestle right away. Just right away. Just come out and wrestle.
Now, folks, you're going to notice that there's a delay between us and you. Ian Heinisch went for a Kimura now. I thought Kelvin almost tapped for a second, but I guess he was just looking for his balance. Oh, man. I can't believe Giannis is going to be right here.
This is wild.
Yeah, so guys, you may notice there's a delay. That's just sort of the nature of the streaming softwares that we have. By the time it gets from us to you, there's a bit of a delay there. Sorry. Ian Heinisch, man, strong guy.
He's still holding on to it,
yeah.
There we go. Kelvin gets loose. This is the thing, right? This is always the rub. And there was a fight earlier tonight that a few actually were tweeted out, like, it's so tough nowadays, given where everybody's at, to see guys like dive on submissions and jump on guillotines and things like that. Because if you don't have it, it puts you in such a disadvantage. And so that was close. That looked like it was pretty painful and pretty well locked in, but Kelvin Gastelum gets through it, and now he's on the offensive, and it's like, well,
I would have been pretty bummed for Kel. Oh my god! Oh, dude, he went for it again with the Kimura.
Again.
It's really deep this time. I mean, he doesn't have the best position for it. Like, Kelvin's in the mount. I don't. Yeah. This says a lot about Ian Heinisch's strength, though, that he's able to hold on to it like this.
Well, and like that Kelvin isn't Kelvin isn't bailing as soon as he goes for it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, as soon as he grabs that, because that's a typical sort of escape that position, the Kimura trap kind of thing. But I guess Kelvin just trusts his ability to get out of it, and
here finally settling into a mount now, and a lot of time to work.
Full mount.
Spencer, I do think I'm like a second ahead of you. It's nothing significant, but I'm gonna pause mine at 2 minutes, my video player, and you just let me know when you've hit the 2-minute mark. Okay.
All right, that works.
A lot of scrambles. Woo. Oh.
It's a wild first 3 minutes. This is sort of what you expected, but
it's a little more competitive than I thought it would be, if I'm being honest.
I didn't think we would spend. So I'm at 2 minutes.
Boom. Perfect.
Yeah, I didn't think we would spend most of the first 3 minutes on the ground and submission, attack, and defend, but here we are, and we'll see. Yeah.
Joseph Boza in the chat has interesting feedback here. He says, I was a bit nervous for Ian. The last time we saw him was in June, and it was only a 75-second fight. So kind of the Francis Ngannou syndrome there. What do you really learn? But I'd say that people have a lot of concerns for Kelvin coming off of 3 consecutive losses. Yeah. Do you think he's in a position? Some people are saying he'd get cut after this. I feel like he's been in too many big fights, and he's been too much of a UFC product to get cut for anything other than the fact that, like, perhaps he wants to go because Bellator gives him a good offer.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the fact that he's a former Ultimate Fighter winner, he's headlined some events, he's always been he's so far removed from those kind of challenges and struggles where he was missing weight and changing divisions. He's fought for a title very recently still, not even 2 years ago. And so I think at most it would be okay, you're going to get a significant step down in competition. Mm-hmm. But like you said, unless he says, hey, look, I'm over it, I want to go somewhere else, I want to, I'm taking 2 years or something, then then I think he's pretty safe, because like we were talking about off air before we got on here, those losses are really good losses. They're two very good competitors. They're all top 10 fighters. And so to let a guy go after 4 losses, even though it's 4 losses, hypothetically speaking here, they're all to top 15 opponents. And so it's pretty tough to see them parting ways with somebody like that.
Yeah, I think he's a lifer if he wants to be, I think. Oh, big shout out. Thank you very much to Rob Reed, who writes, Heinisch flicked the wrong spot. Sean, I'll add you in a second, on the subgate in the last stage of that Kimura. Thank you so much for the super chat donation. Let me get a banner in here, and we got the boss in the house. Look, there we go. There we go. There we go.
Change up all the names. Look at that. Look at how quickly that goes.
I'm only here briefly.
Yeah, well, that's usually how it works. You hop in and out, do an ad read. It's the.
I just want to say, I think it's fitting that we have E. Spencer Kite on here, because we actually mentioned him on a phone call earlier today. Listen to this. So
Me?
No. I did when speaking to you, because earlier this week I go, whatever happened to Brian Bowles, like after the arrest? And I Google him, and a story from you years ago comes up. But here's the thing. There's something in all the transitions between UFC's websites that instead of having it listed as, I think, February 13th, whenever you did it, 2012,
it's listed as today.
As like today or yesterday. And I was like, did he just track down Brian Bowles and read my mind? What happened?
Well, no, I definitely didn't spend my Saturday tracking down Brian Bowles. Blast from the past name there.
But I did.
But yeah, he's one of those dudes that lost to history, right?
Yeah, and I looked him up because he did a little math, and he's teaching jiu-jitsu as of a couple of years ago. But I was mentioning that to Shaq. I was like, you know what? We should track down some of these people. But in looking him up, I was like, damn it, he already did.
Well, Spencer, you have the phone number. Throw it to me after this.
Yeah. I'm sure he's got the same one after the meth charge.
Yeah.
I'm sure that didn't get changed along the way.
8 years later, he's still at this. It's crazy though. Some people are like, you double check. You guys all know this, reaching out to fighters or talking with PR. You do the like, is it still this number? And they're like, yep. And it's like, how do these guys have the same numbers for 15? I don't even have the same number for 10 years.
I do. I've had the same since 2016,
That's
fortunately.
Wild.
All right, we got people asking about the fight because apparently streams are down all over the place. Either ESPN's messed up or Dana White's going on.
Dana White's on the attack.
Stand up. Ian was landing a bit. Kelvin Gastelum got the takedown, and now he's secured top half.
Settling in, yeah.
So he's trying to get a little knee slice into mount. Doesn't work.
This is kind of a little more what I expected. I expected kind of the back and forth in terms of transitions between striking and grappling. Kelvin controlling things.
Yeah, Sean.
I'll return after I eat this delicious burger.
Wow, that looks picturesque. Where is that
looks
from?
fake.
It's fantastic. I think it's a bison burger, but you know what?
Like homemade or?
I didn't like kill the bison or anything.
No, but did you prepare the burger?
I didn't. My wife did.
That is like photo shoot quality burger.
That looks like the McDonald's commercials that look nothing like the final product.
It does. Little do you guys know this is held together by glue and all kinds of stuff. The actual burger I'm going to eat off camera looks nothing like this.
Should do some, what is it? AMSR? Burger eating?
Oh my God. I couldn't. I'm too self-conscious.
I swear you could make a career in ASMR.
I think I'm pretty sure I could do some of that, but man, I'm not going to do that. I'll return. All right.
We'll see you in a bit. There he goes.
There goes the boss.
Yeah. There goes the boss. All right. We are back. Spencer, I got to refresh my stream here. So why don't you tell the folks what's happening?
Kind of a lot of the same. I mean, just some scrambly back and forth action. Both guys, Kelvin doing a little bit more of the leading. Kelvin kind of getting a little bit better at the exchanges, but Ian Heinisch is right there. He's one of the things with Ian Heinisch is he's, conditioning is great. He's never gonna he's a guy that's never going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like whenever Kelvin wants to get inside and at least get around to his back, he's in on his waist right now. He's able to, and so I had a feeling this would be kind of similar to kind of what we would see is just when Kelvin needed to, and if those striking exchanges were getting a little close, or he wanted to wrestle, he could dictate the terms wrestling.
Yeah,
it's not as one-sided as we thought, but
I'm getting a lot of Derek Brunson vibes in terms of the keys to victory here. It doesn't feel like Ian Heinisch he's doing a lot better at getting back off his back and not getting taken down, but he's still not able to sort of shut down that offensive wrestling that kind of plagued him in that Brunson fight.
Yeah, and I mean,
ooh, nice 1-2s from Kelvin.
There's no good way to say this, or no way for it to not sound kind of like really dismissive of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But Ian Heinisch is a pretty standard wrestle boxer. Yeah. And once you hit a certain level, it's just, it's hard to beat those dudes that are at number 12 and 7 and 8 in the division. Like, if they're just that little bit better than you, the margins are so narrow right now in this sport and in terms of the level of competition. But when you come up against that guy that's a little bit better than you, this is kind of how it plays out, where you're just a half step behind most of the night.
And Kelvin, I think, is starting to get the better of the range too. He's he's doing a really good job now of landing his 1-2s. It's pretty much just been jabs and jab crosses for those who can't watch the fight right now. Kelvin, I think it was a close 10-9 for him in round 1, but I think this is a more.
This looks like a little, And the thing with Ian Heinisch is it's a lot of that overhand right. The one that when it lands, it's, we saw it against Gerald Meerschaert. It's a great punch, but it's a lot of kind of just pawing with the jab and just dropping his head and throwing that big overhand looping. And if it doesn't connect, Kelvin's ducking under it.
Ian Heinisch should have paired to land a nice flying knee, but I don't know if it landed or partially landed because Kelvin immediately got the takedown. All right,
Kelvin looks good. I think this is the kind of fight he needed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Just come out, be that little bit better, be that little bit ahead of the other guy, get a victory, take some of the pressure off.
All right. So just to make sure, because we might be off a little bit again. Has the fight started for you yet?
No.
Okay.
They're just coming back in.
Okay. I might be a little ahead, so let me know when you're at 450, okay?
Okay.
All right. Who does this fight tell you more about? Kelvin Gastelum or Ian Heinisch? Like, does this say more about Kelvin's ability to bounce back, or in some ways do you wonder, like, I don't know if this guy can compete at the highest level?
I mean, not to not answer your question, but I don't think it tells me a ton about, it tells me a little more about Kelvin Gastelum just in terms of the fact that, we get confirmation that he's not mentally out of it or that he's not suddenly in some decline at 29. But really, this is a lot of what I expected.
Nice step and elbow there. Sorry to cut you off.
No worries. This is a lot of what I expected. And so it's, the fact that Ian, very good double leg there. The fact that Ian Heinisch is making this as competitive and as close as he is tells me a little bit more about him. But it's again that this is kind of where we thought it would go, and he's a 15 through 11 guy in the division right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Kelvin, all credit to him. He got taken down, immediately bounced back, able to reverse the position. Now both standing, he's on Kelvin. It's funny because we started the stream in the back saying, I don't want to do this like a play-by-play, but we're getting a lot of people in the comments who can't watch the fight for whatever reason.
So
now we're kind of their saving grace.
This is one of the things that we don't have to deal with. I remember the last pay-per-view, everybody was freaking out that the stream wasn't there, and I was like, Canada.
Living it up. All right, back to center. Kelvin whiffs on the head kick. Ooh, Ian hit him again with the knee there.
That knee might have landed a little bit.
Kelvin's chewing him up, though. Look, I know we tease him for his diet, but he eats those knees about as well as he eats the cake.
He looks good here. I mean, it never made sense to me that that middleweight was the division for him for the longest time, because it just seemed like this is a guy frame-wise, size-wise, he should be fighting at 70. And I mean, he maintained for so long, and I think rightfully so, that that's where he could be a champion. But he looks like he's kind of settled in here. And I don't know if you were watching earlier, DC talking about,
another flying knee.
Everybody laughs about, DC's fat and Rodolfo Vieira's this big muscle dude that burns right away. I think Kelvin settled into that like husky, burly dude kind of frame now.
That's fine for him. Again, I don't know if these knees are landing. Wow, Ian Heinisch rolled through side control and somehow ends up on Kelvin's back and now hunting a rear naked choke. That was a really odd scramble, but I like what I saw. He's very sticky. He's doing a really good job of keeping the back take, no matter how much Kelvin tries to roll to his knees, back to his back.
Yeah, both hooks in, fighting the hand. I mean, Kelvin's doing all the right things, fighting the hand and protecting from those shots from the back. But Ian Heinisch, I mean, right now it looks like he could probably hang out here and just maintain this position and keep hunting for this finish for the rest of the round.
Guys, wherever you're watching, we'll do that.
Oh, and he moves over to climbs to mount for a minute, but Kelvin again scrambles out.
Ian a lot
he
of credit.
Might get out of this here now.
Yeah, he's going to lose the position.
But that's you were going to say, you give him a lot of credit. That's a really good job in that scramble, in that transition.
And also not just committing to the submission when it's not there, actually trying to open up, go to mount, throw some strikes.
Yeah, I
love these little crazy roll. These like
the little Granby roll in there.
Yeah, a little sacrifice roll, whatever you call it.
I feel like we're starting to see a lot more people doing that with some of these transitions and some of these positions of attacking, not just selling out for those submissions and trying. The more fights you watch, the more you kind of start to learn these are the little things they're going to do to try to open up some space. But
and I mean, the Tony Ferguson was the best today, and every time he got knocked loopy, you'd see him somersaulting and cartwheeling his way out of the octagon. It was fun to watch. All right, last 30 seconds, folks. Kelvin has Ian back against the cage. They're both throwing heat, but Ian's starting to look a little bit tired. He's stumbling a little tired. But I'm impressed, though. Everyone's gas tank's holding up. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good fight. You go in there and you go 15 minutes, hard competitive with a guy that's...
Ian's double legs
He's looked good here.
He gets super deep and immediately stepped into mount.
I mean, this feels like one of those fights where, he lost, but
huge 2 shots on the ground and the round though. All right, Spencer, who are you giving it to?
I'm giving it to Gastelum, but it for me is one of those fights where you don't take anything away from Ian Heinisch with a performance like this. Like,
yeah, it was competitive. A lot of those takedowns, I feel like, especially Ian's takedowns, he wasn't really able to maintain any ground control off of it. So I don't think you can reward him a whole lot. Right. I think Kelvin generally made more use of his takedowns. I have a 3-round zip, but it was competitive.
Yep, good fight.
Right hook to the eyeball, says Joe Rogan. No, thank you. All right, guys, while we're in between rounds, if you're watching this on YouTube, the best thing you can do, hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, leave a like on this video. There's small things, but it helps other people see the video. We've been seeing a lot of constant growth, especially over at Fightful MMA. So that'd be great. If you're on Periscope, hit us a follow. And if you're on Facebook, like the channel. It helps us do what we do. Every little bit counts. So if you can take your time out of your day, do so. It would mean the world to us. All right. Do you have it a 3-round zip as well?
Yeah, I do. And I think that's what we'll get. I mean, like we were saying, it's still a good performance for Ian Heinisch. There's obvious building blocks here to go out and have a fight like that. You mentioned those takedowns, the Kimura attempts early. It's a good effort, but sometimes you just run into the guy that's just that little bit better than you.
Agreed. Man, let's talk a little bit about the sorry Ryan to spoil it. I'm gonna shout out to Ryan. He says he's 45 seconds behind of us, which is remarkable because everyone should be ahead of us.
Yeah.
The way the delay
We're a
works.
little
So I
paused.
apologize for what you're going through and for spoiling the fight. But we love having you here, Ryan. So thanks for taking part. Man, was there any bigger moment this night than Anthony Hernandez tapping out 7-time world jiu-jitsu champ Adolfo Vieira, and just the way he survived the early grappling threat and then just poured it on that poor sucker?
Yeah, it was, I mean, to start the fight in that position where you're instantly taken down, he immediately moves to mount and is looking for his kind of his trademark arm triangle, and he's setting it up and climbing his hands up and trying to lock it in, and you just think this is going to be an early night and we're going to be out of here. And to survive that and then just absolutely go on the offensive, I really liked in that second round that he seemed to understand the position he was in, and he understood a lot better than we see some people sometimes where they get a little over exuberant and they get a little over aggressive. He did the right thing of kind of taking his time, finding his shots. That elbow was nasty. The head kick was nasty. And then to make a guy like Adolfo Vieira tap is just bonkers.
And, the commentary team, and honestly, even myself, I'm like, why are you even humoring a grappling exchange right now? But to his credit, he was getting deep choke setups, and he was super patient. He didn't do anything crazy like you saw Maki Patolo and Julian Marquez doing, where they're just like throwing themselves to their back and losing the position. Like he was very calm and patient in those positions. So good on him, because the reality is it's a way bigger headline that he tapped him out.
Oh, yeah,
so
it's
all the
huge headline. And I think Guilherme Cruz from MMA Fighting tweeted out that it's like the first guy, and I think he corrected it later. He gave Frank Mir the credit he deserved for tapping. I think it was Roberto Travin, but just the second time an ADCC champ has been submitted inside the octagon. So that tells you how big of an accomplishment that is for Fluffy Hernandez.
So I was going to say, do you think we're blowing this a little out of proportion considering the specifics of the fight itself? Because you're looking at a guy who just got walloped on, was getting elbowed, knee punched, and had no stamina left. Does that take away at all from it, do you think? Or are we building it up too much? Or, all things considered, all things relative, it's still worthy of praise?
I think all things considered, it's still worthy of praise. You're right. He was absolutely gassed. He was basically dead on his feet. And however Fluffy wanted to finish that fight, he probably could have, if he wanted to just pound him out, he could have just pounded him out. The ref would have stopped it. It seemed after that elbow, it would have taken 2 or 3 more shots and we'd have been done anyways. But to be able to finish a guy that is that decorated on the ground, it's an accomplishment, no matter where he was at in terms of energy and how that fight went. It's still a big accomplishment just to be able to say it, right? Because we don't necessarily, whenever we go back and we're talking about these things, we don't necessarily remember the specifics of how it happened. It's just that Fluffy Hernandez tapped out a 5-time world champion.
What do you think? And I saw a little bit of the media post-fight stuff for Belal Muhammad, but myself and it appears some people in this live chat raised their eyebrows a little bit at the Li Jingliang call out, perhaps believing that at this point Belal Muhammad deserves more than a guy ranked 1 spot behind him. Belal said in post-fight that he's not dumb and he's kind of conscious of what he's able to get. But I definitely feel like, winning 8 out of your 9 last 9 fights deserves you more than a guy who's ranked 12 when you're 13. Did the call-out make sense? The matchup actually I really like, because it answers questions about both guys. I'm still not sold on Li Jingliang, considering the long layoff and all the health issues that Santiago Ponzinibbio had. But maybe throwing out the matchmaking side, do you think this is the right call from a promotional point of view to call out Li?
I think from that angle it is, like, in terms of, as he said, knowing what he can get, because the other thing is who else is there a little bit ahead of him? Maybe Neil Magny, right? But Neil Magny's coming off a loss, and so you want to kind of get a guy that's moving forward in a positive direction. He's coming off a big knockout, and so I get it from that. But listen, I'm I'm a huge Bilal Muhammad guy. I think he's criminally underrated. I think he's somebody that deserves a bigger and better opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you on he deserves better, but I also think at times you have to just understand and prioritize what you can get versus what you necessarily think you deserve.
For sure. Shout out to Eric in the live chat who pointed out that I had our names swapped. I completely pinned that on Sean Ross Sapp. It ruins my layout every time he steps foot into the live stream. That burger looked damn good though, so I'm pretty jealous.
I thought it was fake.
Don't get me. I have gone on
picked up
rants about how much I love burgers. Yeah. So I don't. There's been a lot made about the odds for Maycee Barber versus Alexa Grasso. Who is being underrated here? Because you have a lot of people who are super cold on Maycee Barber after the way my girl Roxy Modafferi put a whooping on her. But then you also have people saying, like, why should Maycee Barber be the favorite? Alexa Grasso has been performing terrifically. So in your eyes, who's the person who doesn't get enough credit here?
Ooh, I sort of think that Alexa Grasso is deservingly the favorite because of those questions that are there for Maycee Barber right now, right? Like, not to take anything away from her. She beat good competition on the way up. She had 3 stoppages in her first 3 fights. But she's been off for a year. Mm-hmm. And as much as she doesn't like to talk about it as such, she was getting beat up in the first round before her knee fully went. She says she blew out her knee in the first round. And then the stumble at the start of the second was sort of the tail end of it and the final end of it going out. But she was getting picked apart on the feet by Roxanne Modafferi. And I love Roxy. I've had a bunch of great conversations with her over the years. None of us are going to sit here and say that striking is her strong suit. It's gotten considerably better, but it's still not on par with her grappling. And so for me, just taking a little bit of a wait and see with Maycee Barber. And, you know, she's not a massive underdog here. She's not, you know, a huge dog. I don't remember what the line's at now, but, you know, Alexa Grasso, coming off a good win, she, yes, has some defensive flaws of her own in her striking. I think we're going to see a lot of people getting punched in the face over these next 15 minutes. But, you know, Stephen A. Smith's going to hate it.
Okay, I need to. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at 2 things. I'm laughing at your commentary. I'm also laughing at Colby, our staff writer, who writes, "That was quite possibly the nicest way anyone's ever explained Rox's striking."
Right, like it's still a little herky-jerky. It's still a work in process. It's gotten a lot better.
It has gotten a lot
since she's hooked up with John Wood and Syndicate MMA. But she was landing some good, clean, heavy shots on Maycee Barber. And so to come into this fight against somebody that we know is a more polished, more technical striker, has a little bit better hands, has fought some good competition. Like, you forget, Alexa Grasso dominated Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Yeah. And yes, Karolina's had some struggles. She's, you know, taken some time off and things like that. But it's still a great performance. And so I think there's a lot for Maycee Barber to prove here. She could come out and blow the doors off Alexa Grasso and make us all go, yeah, all right, the future's now. Yep, she's back. She's good. But I need to see it. I'm very much a prove it to me kind of guy.
Yeah. Alexa Grasso in the octagon, walking to MIA's Paper Planes. Quick shout out to MIA. Her verse in that Travis Scott song, that's name I can't remember, is fucking terrific. How do you feel? There's been a lot made about the UFC's new camera. Maybe some of you illegal streamers out there can't quite make it out with the quality, but they have like a new 8K camera, NFL style. It mostly seems to be used for the walkouts, some of the post-fight stuff. I don't think they're using it for the actual fight. What do you think about it? It almost looks, there's definitely some uncanny valley kind of thing going on. It looks like a video game to me.
That's what I was just going to say. It looks a little bit video game-ish. I mean, it's so sharp. It's an incredible camera.
It's unreal.
It has that. The uncanny valley is the right way to put it. It just looks a little bit not quite right. Looks beautiful, but a little unsettling at the same time.
Yeah, I think I like the way they're using it for the walkouts as a more cinematic experience. I feel like I'm watching a movie.
And going into the corners when the intros are happening. Yeah, it looks really good.
I think it kind of adds to the value once you get used to it, but I wouldn't recommend they do it for the actual fight itself.
It's been really good over the last couple of years, but especially I feel like the last 3 or 4 months, they've made a bunch of production changes, added some graphics, done some different stuff. Like, it's great to see. And I know, people are always going to moan about the UFC for different reasons, but this is why they want to control their own production, right?
Yeah.
They get their own say. They've got the new set now at the Apex that they're using.
Yeah, I imagine the Apex helps a lot.
It's really a terrific setup, and it continues to get better.
Well, I do want to give some credit to ESPN as well, though, because when UFC was partnered with Fox, man, everything was so cut and dry. It all looked identical. As soon as they made the move to ESPN, I saw the broadcast get more creative. It didn't always work, but they tried stuff, having Megan Levy standing in the cage and have weirdos talk about her feet. That aside, like having her report from the cage, I love it when they have Brett Okamoto or Megan Levy standing in the hall, in the entrance, the walkway, and then turning from them to the fighter as the fighter walks by them. There have been a lot of really nice touches in terms of graphic. The tweets, like, they're dumb, but they're fun.
Right.
For media, it's fun to see their name on there. It's a cool rub to see celebrities chiming in. I think they've done a really good job of just giving it a little bit of variety and flavor.
Yeah, the tweets are a nice interactive element. It's weird that people keep score of who's on there and give people grief for how much they're on there or different things like that. I know there are some people that are, will try desperately to get on there, and there's some people that just tweet the most random stuff to see if it gets on there and then have a laugh about it, which is always good times. But yeah, it's been really good to, I agree with you. It's been really good to see ESPN let them kind of play with some stuff and try some different stuff and figure some new things out, because it's largely worked.
Aaron Bronstetter of TSN writes on Twitter, Maycee Barber was born 4 days after the final episode of Seinfeld. Where do people like Aaron Bronstetter pull these quotes out, these statistics out of? It is insane the way that man's brain operates, that he sees Maycee Barber's age and thinks, Seinfeld, I should check on the season finale date.
That's crazy.
Keith Peterson,
the no nonsense,
boozy, cigarette smoky Keith Peterson at the center of the cage. The ring girls blowing kisses, and we are underway. Is that right, Spencer?
Yep, we're in sync here. Maycee Barber showing a lot more movement, a lot more feints, and kind of bouncing around a little more than she has in the past.
Now, as one of the younger people in MMA media, I remember, it would have been years ago, I'm used to it now, but I remember when I first started noticing that more and more people younger than me were becoming more and more successful than me. I'm in the groove now. It's all good. I don't compare myself, but I remember that flick. I remember that moment where I'm like, he's 15, he's 14, he's 18, and he's making how many millions?
It's weird to me how many fighters are now at the point where they're like, career's starting to wind down, and I'm 3 or 4 years older than them still. Mm-hmm. And so, like, do these calls and start talking to people and ask, like, you're getting up there. And I always preface it with, look, I've got 2 or 3 years on you, whatever it is. So I'm not calling you old, because if you're old, then what's that say about me? But yeah, it's crazy to see how many young people are coming up and thriving in this. It's great, but
it's great to see Barber and Grasso switching back and forth against the fence. Grasso's had the control for the last 10, 15 seconds or so, and she looks strong. She's hunting for leg trips and leg sweeps. It's not happening yet, but she's got control. No real damage yet either way.
No. It'll be interesting to see if she can have success in there in the clinch. We haven't seen a lot of Maycee Barber from a defensive point on the fence and in the clinch like that. She's had some offensive success in there and looked really good in there in her Contender Series fight. And that's, I think, where she ended up finishing Hannah Cyphers, but that was a good left hand that just landed.
Really nice left hand.
That was a really nice counter. And that's the thing, like we were talking about, right? The slightly more technical, slightly more polished. Everything's going to be a little bit more straight line.
Maycee Barber had a pretty nice entry there for a body lock takedown. It didn't work, but I like the speed and like the cohesion between the entry, the body lock, the leg trip. But Grasso was able to get her foot out of the way there.
Well, and good for her to just, and I know the announcers are either talking about it or talk about it all the time in different fights, right? You give that opponent something else to think about. So if she's thinking, we're just going to strike and I'm just a striker out here, I just want to be at range, you make her start thinking she can change levels on me, she can come at my hips, and then you're just that half second, and that's often what makes a difference in these fights.
And here we are again, Grasso. Grasso appears to be the stronger woman. Every time Maycee Barber backs her to the fence, Grasso's able to turn off. Yeah. Now, how do you score a fight like this? Because from my estimation, you basically go to the one hard strike that was landed, which would be in favor of Alexa Grasso.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the thing I tend to look for. I'm fortunate enough to have gone through and done John McCarthy's command course
cool.
Bunch of years ago when it was in Vancouver. Successfully completed the course, I may add. It isn't just I was there and got a participation ribbon. And it sort of is that thing where you're at this point, because it's so close, because it's a lot of this clinch work on the fence, and we're still here where they're just kind of taking turns leading in that clinch position. You look at that one good striker, those few little exchanges. Maycee Barber winging shots here.
Barber wings shots, but when they land, they're mean.
Yeah.
She hit an elbow there and a winding long hook, and they landed.
The thing that I think will eventually be what makes her, and I still think, regardless of that performance against Roxy, regardless of what happens here, I still think she has a ton of potential. And I think that power is the thing that's going to be a big difference maker for her, because you don't necessarily see it in the women's side, right?
Oh my God, they're both just throwing.
This is what I expected. Just face punch.
Dude, the women scrap. Don't let Stephen A. Smith pull any of this nonsense.
There is some fire in these two.
Stephen A. Smith almost didn't. Granted, there's no reason to be upset with Stephen A. Smith because that's just how he makes his career.
Yeah.
Just here to fix it. I see. Okay.
But yeah, just to close out that point on the round and how you score it, you end up looking at just those few. If it is only 3 or 4 shots that land,
but who landed? I couldn't tell who landed harder, because Maycee got the initial strikes off. Alexa Grasso with the counters. I have no idea what I do there. I think at this point I would defer to the grappling because I don't know who landed more strikes and more damage, and I'd give it to Grasso 10-9. But as someone who has more experience than me, who is John McCarthy's pupil, how would you score it?
Yeah, I mean, from what we saw, and obviously being on a chat and doing this makes it a little, you're not necessarily just paying as close attention as if you were scoring at home. But I kind of land, and they're showing the replays here, and it's that wonderful counter from Alexa Grasso. But Maycee had some shots inside, in tight. I would tend to give it to Alexa Grasso just from the shots that I saw.
Okay.
And of course now they're showing a replay where Maycee Barber lands a couple, but
Grasso
gets a couple more in there. So a very close round. I would lean Alexa Grasso, but it's crazy. I don't know if you saw it in the corner there. Maycee Barber has a weird thing about people touching her face, I think. The cut man tried to wipe something off her face, and she kind of pushed his hand away. And I remember she did it in the fight with Roxy. When Roxy elbowed her, Tate was coming to clear the blood off her face, and she slapped his hand away and said, "Don't touch me," or something like that. So that's definitely going down in my notebook as something to ask Maycee Barber about.
I don't know if he's just trolling me. Colby is giving me a statistic here: 54-13 in strikes for Grasso. Is that true? Wow. Yeah, I believe him. But that's not how it looked to me. But I mean, with that information, definitely into it. Guys, we want to hear your scores. Let us know in the live chat, wherever you are, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook. Score the rounds with us. I'd like to keep track of those.
Well, and this is where seeing tweets on the broadcast help, right? We're seeing from our colleagues how they scored the fight. There's a nice combination from Alexa Grasso, and it really is. It's kind of like we talked about in the lead of that little bit more technical, little bit cleaner. But Maycee Barber ain't ever going to go anywhere.
Spencer, as someone with someone who privy to the UFC machine, who do I have to send a cheese basket to get the clout of my tweets on air? I don't know what Ryan Frederick did to get on there.
I don't know, man. I kind of don't even think of it and just put stuff up. Obviously, I think there's probably a little bit of I don't even. That was a nice shot. That kind of wobbled her a little, and Maycee Barber's going to run in to try to clear the cobwebs by running into this even more. That's not really smart decision making.
Well, you can tell that Barber's still figuring out the pieces. Like when they're at range, I like her head movement. I like the overemphasized feints and strikes she'll throw to sort of keep Alexa on her toes, but you see that as soon as the fight gets a little dirty, she gets wild. I don't think it's ingrained in her yet. I think she knows she should do it when she has the space to think about it.
Well, and she's undeniably tough, right? Like you saw in that, to be able to want to continue and to continue in that fight with Roxy, given everything that was going wrong. If ever she wanted to find a way out and take a way out, she could have. So it's ultimately a positive. And I think to what you're saying of when you figure that part out and learn a little bit more of how to manage that, those are all things that will be positive for her down the road.
Yeah, well, like Aaron Bronstetter loves to point out, she's 22 years old. So
that's right.
And Kenny Floyd, to that effect, just tweeted, Grasso is calm and composed, Barber, not any of that. And that's the difference, right? That comes with age and that comes with experience. And this is why I don't like to see a lot of 22-year-olds in the UFC. It's just a rough place to learn these lessons. Landed a good shot on Grasso though, but Grasso just returns fire. She's eating these really well.
Yeah, it's so hard, right? In terms of the young athletes, and because there's only so much you're going to learn by just running through competition on the regional circuit. And Maycee Barber was dominating people, and she looked very good in her Contender Series win over Jamie Colleen. She looked good in her first 3 fights in the UFC. So she proves she belonged, but the trouble is when you get here, right? The trouble is when you get into that territory where the only thing that's available to you is a pretty sizable step up in competition, especially in a division like flyweight that doesn't quite. Looking at an armbar.
Does she have the right arm there? I can't see.
It looks like she's got both.
It's a weird angle,
and so she's spinning, trying to.
So Grasso slips. Maycee Barber takes a position. Sorry to cut you off again, Spencer.
No
Alexa Grasso throws up a weird armbar, but she uses it to sweep to top position. Now has side control, and she's kind of got the setup going for an arm triangle, but on the reverse side. So weird scramble, super interesting grappling position. Oh, and she flips over the right side with the arm triangle. Dude, her submission transitions are really good. She is very good at using a submission attempt to improve a position, and vice versa. Joe Rogan is tweaking out over Grasso's grappling right now.
I mean, we were talking about it coming in of
Joe Rogan.
So I'm actually glad I have my volume off.
Here. Do you have it off completely?
Yeah.
Let me do this for you. Joe Rogan. She looks beautiful here. I love her grappling.
I mean, it's crazy, right? Alexa Grasso was, and I think I said it a couple times this week in different things I wrote. And Alexa Grasso was kind of Maycee Barber before Maycee Barber, right? Tons of promise, unbeaten coming up through Invicta, big expectations, and then just ran into some tough fights.
For those in the live chat, yes, I definitely just hid behind my pop filter to apply some chapstick. What are you going to do? The day I got a YouTube commenter telling me to clean the whites from the corners of my mouth is the day that I bought Burt's Bees specifically to leave at the office.
Nice. Yeah, like there's that fancy camera.
I was just thinking about it.
Looks
It's
so
great.
good. Yeah.
Like I really feel like I'm watching a Rocky flick.
Yeah. Looks good. The other thing with Maycee Barber that's going to be interesting to me, and it's not a knock on who she's trained with because she's bounced around to really good gyms, but she feels like
whoever said to the contrary, who would ever deny that fact?
Yeah.
Dude, I would take out one of the authentic katanas. Most of these aren't. Joe Rogan would still whip my ass.
Yeah.
No question about it.
No one ever argued that that's not true. But yeah, I would like to see Maycee Barber settle in somewhere and stay somewhere with a coach, because I think just in the matter of like 3 or 4 UFC fights now, she's been at Factory X, she's been at Rufus Sport and Askren Wrestling. She worked this camp with Mike Valley and the Valley Flow team in Chicago. Just pick a spot and stay there. Just so you can build that rapport with a coach, because that's another one of those things that helps dial in some of that aggression that we've seen and some of that, exuberance that is there right now. That
they're just in the center of the octagon. No one's really throwing. They're just figuring one another out. Yeah, I'm seeing comments in the chat to the effect that, like, imagine you build Maycee Barber up with this next big thing, and then 2 straight losses kind of shits the bed there, for the apologies for lack of a better term. But this is why I think you got to be really careful about these young prospects. In fact, not you see it in so many ways. I think it happened with Francis Ngannou, right? The UFC really inflated his ego, and he crumbled under Miocic's wrestling. And I actually think that was having spent 2 1-month stints in South Africa, and that's not that much evidence to go off of. But I just feel like for Francis, I think he got caught up in the sort of the cultural effect of the Hollywood
for sure
machine, right? That the UFC was building for him.
He's admitted as much, that he just got overwhelmed and
when you're not
buying your own hype,
you're not
right?
conscious and you're not familiar with what this fabricated
and you're having all the success he's having, right? So he's having this tremendous success, and then all of a sudden the promo says he's a 1 in a million prospect,
exactly,
and they're talking about him as
Maycee Barber, nice ground and pound elbows now that she's secured top control, and she's got had an arm through a knee,
throwing some knees.
This is her best round
there. She's, like we said, she's tough as they come. She's never gonna stop trying to come forward and win.
Grasso's starting to have trouble with the pressure. Winging and landing. I like Alexa Grasso's short counters, but the pressure's definitely getting to her more than it did the first 2.
But again, though, the smart, a little bit more experienced thing, grab a clinch, tie her up. Even if you're not reversing, even if you're not able to control the position, you're slowing her down, you're getting a little bit of a breather. But Maycee Barber's relentless, man. Like, these are all building blocks. These are all things that are gonna eventually serve her well.
Yeah. We'll finish up on the Maycee stuff after the fight. But I will ask you, a little late now, no one will believe us, but who was your pick for this fight?
My pick was Alexa Grasso. They can believe me by going to spencerkite.substack.com.
There you go.
The Punch Drunk predictions are there. It says essentially that what we've been talking about, that Alexa Grasso is a little bit more technical, a little more polished.
Sorry.
No, it's I think this is kind of like the last fight with Ian Heinisch, right? I don't lose anything from Maycee Barber in this fight. This is it's another one of those, as you were saying, with these younger athletes, that you reach a point where the only thing you can do is fight these far more experienced, far more polished opponents. And it ends up leading to a couple losses. The key thing is not giving up on them, not writing them off, remembering, as you said, Aaron Bronstetter always likes to point out, she's 22.
Yeah.
Like, this is her 11th fight or 10th fight. Like, give her some time. She's losing to good opponents.
So for those who rely on our commentary, I apologize. Alexa Grasso's got a body lock against the fence. That's it. They're throwing punches. And now Maycee Barber has 20 seconds of space.
She's coming forward and winging, and she's looking to land that one shot to get.
Oh, Grasso with a good counter.
That's a good counter.
Nice counter. Her counters are sweet. Well, that was the worst spinning wheel kick I've ever seen, but nice takedown afterwards.
A takedown, yeah.
Dude, that was the most telegraphed spinning kick I've ever seen. Way out of range, wound up like a good second before you knew it was coming. So yeah, to finish on the Maycee thing, and I think it's really compounded by what you said. She doesn't have a coach to trust, and she keeps hopping around. She's young. She's got the UFC in her ear telling her she's the next thing. You have fans believing in it. She's 22. Dude, I believe the hype. I'm almost 26. I believe the hype.
Yeah, I mean it.
If someone was saying all this about me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm the fucking shit.
Well, and so she's obviously come up talking about wanting to beat John Jones's record. And I mean, it's not bad to have goals. It's not bad to set lofty goals. It's helped her get to this point. But now comes the hard part. Now comes the really difficult part.
That's why you need someone in your camp to keep you grounded, right?
Yep. It'll be really interesting to see, we talk about athletic primes, right? As starting kind of at 26, 27. She's still got 3 or 4 years before she gets anywhere close to that. And so to be at this level, she's had a couple, I'm assuming this is going to be a couple losses here in a row now. These are lessons. And if she can get with the right camp, the right people, dial in some of this stuff that is obviously found good foundational pieces, she's still got a bright future. She still has the potential to reach some of these heights that she's set for herself. It may not be breaking John Jones's record, but it's not to say that she can't be a contender in 4 or 5 years.
I had that 29-28 Alexa Grasso, same as the judges. You too?
Yep, same thing. I'm going to just jump and grab a power cord real quick so that I don't drop out here from...
No worries. I will take you off the stream. I will switch to my one shot. We got this, guys. We got a graphic for every occasion. That's not it. That's not it. That one's it. There we go. Now, guys, let me know in the comment section. Hit us up, live chat, all over the place. How did you score that fight? We agree with the judges, 29-28 Alexa Grasso. And look, we got some time before the main event, so what better time to hit the like button, tap subscribe, and I expect Sean Ross Sapp to just hop into this chat whenever he's ready. Leave us a super chat donation.
You mean like right now?
There you go. There we go.
Oh,
how was the burger? Back. Yeah, the Burger King is back. Look at that.
Yes, I am back.
Oh, wait, you're not. All right, we'll fix this in a second. There we go. Boom.
I thought that was a great performance from Alexa.
That was the worst co-main event level fight for a pay-per-view that I've been in a long time. Like, I just thought to myself, like, how on earth is the main event Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns title fight after this? It just doesn't feel right.
Was there something? I know obviously this card, like many cards, lost a few fights, but was there something else that was supposed to be?
It was
co-main.
Spencer slacking on the job. It was Chris Weidman versus Uriah Hall 2.
Right.
Well, Shaq, not everything can be championship caliber, but fortunately, your erection can be, thanks to BlueChew.com. Code Fightful. That's right, my friends. Get a championship level erection that will have your significant other wanting to go into those championship rounds. You know what? They'll be saying, let's run it back right after you use your just really rock hard Blue Chew erection on them. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable form at a fraction of the cost. Maybe you bought this pay-per-view and you're like, man, they keep hiking up the prices. Not our friends at BlueChew.com. When you use that code FIGHTFUL, you get your first shipment free. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. Respect the mailman. He's giving you a special delivery so you can give somebody else a special delivery. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA, so they prepare and ship direct. It's cheaper than a pharmacy, and you don't have to wait in line at a pharmacy. You don't have to wait in line at the doctor's office. It's all done online. Their licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription because there is more than one active ingredient. They make sure you find the one that's right for you. You don't have to have a problem. Even though it does battle ED, it can get you that extra confidence when it's time to perform. Ship straight to your door in a discreet package. As I always say, much more discreet than this ad read that I'm giving you guys right now. Get that extra confidence. Go to the championship level. Somebody says, did I just pop in to do a Blue Chew read? Yeah, and when you pop in, you'll be able to do it a lot better and more effectively. When you use BlueChew.com, code FIGHTFUL. Man, that's what we're here for. That's what everybody's here for.
I was going to say, if you thought Gilbert Burns, wait till you set the bedroom aflame with Blue Chew.
Oh, no.
That was the most passionate.
Dude, my favorite pastime is watching people watch your ad reads for the first time.
That is,
you should film you know what? Well, let's do a react video on your channel. You get the best Blue Chew reads and the best Manscaped reads, and I'll get UFC fighters and pro wrestlers to watch them.
Because there's obviously a compilation that is straight from Blue Chew that you have to get in there.
I'm just saying,
but the Sean Ross Sapp vamping on that is just like there's nothing better, brother.
Let me see what we're up to right here. There are 4 compilations on YouTube already of me reading Blue Chew reads.
The pro wrestling heel manager, Mike skill ability.
Now that you're pro wrestling
shines.
One of these compilations has 46,000 views on our channel right now.
Wow.
I think you should get like your friends that are pro wrestlers who will kind of know the shtick a little bit to watch them in real time and react. I think that would be great.
I would, but the thing is they would definitely want paid for that. They would definitely be like, they won't even put their names on video games like at all if they're not getting a hefty payday back. So I think that would be difficult.
All right. Well, good thing I'm in the industry where all the fighters are broke and begging for publicity.
So a funny thing, like when StarCast, they did this big convention in Baltimore around one of the AEW pay-per-views. I didn't go there because they mainly had WCW wrestlers there. And I was like, AEW, you got to go through their PR. That'll be tough. And I was like, all these WCW guys are going to be carnies. They're going to be like, give me $20, brother. By the way, I'll tell you guys another story, but apparently it was like a free-for-all. StarCast and AEW were like, hey, anybody that wants to do an interview, you all give it to them. And of course I didn't go. So today somebody hit me up and they said, have you ever interviewed Dan Severn? And I said, yeah, years ago. And they're like, did he ask to be paid? And I said, no, why? And they said his representation just asked me about an interview and said that he usually charges $250 per hour.
Wow.
And let me tell you, all due respect to Dan Severn, you ain't getting a return on that. you ain't making your money back on that one.
Wow. I mean, I respect the hustle.
I do. I mean, you know what? If this was like a shoot interview series on DVD or something in 2008, I get it.
I used to watch the shit out of those.
Me too. Me too. That's why I started
the Perry Saturn one is my all-time favorite. The story. Okay, guys, if you don't know, there's a wrestler by the name of Perry Saturn. He tells the story about a sex life. Talk about a Blue Chew ad. They put him on a skateboard. he'd strap a helmet onto his head with a
God.
dildo sticking out of the top, and they would roll him into the poor woman. Isn't that just
or
the
fortunate
thing?
if she was consenting to it and all about it?
Dude,
she was into that.
There's not enough lubrication in the world to land a skateboard dildo shot.
You never know. Maybe she was good to go.
I don't know about that. All right, Sean, what's your official prediction? Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns.
Usman. Decision.
Spencer?
Long one.
Same. I think it'll be super competitive. I think Gilbert Burns he's very much game. This is the best welterweight fight we could get right now, but Usman.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Usman too. I think if we can keep this off the fence, it'll be competitive.
Yeah.
That's my official prediction. And guys, let me ask 2 questions, and I'd love for the live chat to get back to us here. First, with a win over Gilbert Burns, where does this put Kamaru Usman in terms of all-time greatest welterweight champions? Does he take number 2 from Tyron Woodley, or is it a 2A, 2B situation, or is there still more to prove there?
So I got in shit earlier for saying that he was getting close to George St. Pierre.
I don't think he's
Is Woodley better than Hughes?
People always say Woodley's number 2, and I don't know why, but
I think it's recency bias, man.
Yeah.
Because
you forget how good Matt Hughes was and how dominant Rank him for me.
With a win tonight, where does Kamaru Usman go, and what's your top 5?
Me personally, I would say GSP, Hughes. I wouldn't put. I mean, Miletich had a nice run, but I wouldn't put him up there because of the competition, the level of competition. I would say probably Usman and Woodley neck and neck, because when I look at Woodley, he had the draw with Stephen Thompson. It's still a defense. Damian Maia, okay, it's a good win to have in your record, but man's a welter. The man was not at his best there, I don't think. We weren't seeing the best Damian Maia there. I still think he was a good champion, but I'd put him neck and neck with Woodley.
And I would probably I think I would put Usman too if he looks good here. And that's no disrespect to Matt Hughes, who would be my 3. I just think 13-0 in the UFC. You look at the guys that he's beat. With a win here, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8 in the current rankings.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Pretty impressive.
And I
got Leon Edwards early, and so that's a little different. But like, that's hard to argue. And
so I think that's relative, right? Like where Kamaru was at the time, where Leon was. I feel like it's a fair thing to consider.
And I fully believe he beat Colby Covington at Colby Covington's best. He beat Masvidal at maybe not the best, but the height of his MMA career for sure. I mean, I think there are probably times that Masvidal, as inconsistent as he's been, has been a better fighter than he was on that night, obviously. But I mean, he came off the BMF belt win and stuff. It was like peak fame and all that. And if he beats Burns tonight, obviously the best he's been too. I would put him right there with Woodley, but I would put him still behind Matt Hughes. As ridiculous as some of the shit that I've heard of Matt Hughes. My God. There's a content idea, Shaq. Just read individual pages of Matt Hughes's book on the air. UFC fighters react to the shit that Matt Hughes actually published. The stuff that he was willing to put on the record.
I've been wanting to do like a trivia game with fighters. We should pick out some quotes and be like, who said this? Matt Hughes, Colby Covington, Dana White.
I keep forgetting, like, there is a video of me reading, or I think it's a video of me reviewing Sean McCorkle's review of Matt Hughes's book. It's on our wrestling YouTube somewhere unlisted, because I did it as a Fightful Select feature once.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Where do
Big
you get
sexy
these?
Sean McCorkle.
What's he doing these days?
So fun fact: Keith KO Kid Berry wants to beat the shit out of me, but I think he follows Fightful MMA. I'm not sure he's made the connection between the two.
Fantastic.
I'll take the follow. So
I haven't been physically threatened yet.
By a fighter.
I don't think a fighter or a wrestler. I had one
Almost, yeah,
imply, oh, you wouldn't say this if we were face to face. And I said, why the fuck not? What are you going to do? Beat me up about it? And I don't think he would have, but
let's see. Can I find the Keith Berry tweet?
Strongly implied.
No, I can't.
Actually, the guy that Gerald Harris beat when Gerald Harris made his return, if you remember, he had to drink like 15 pounds worth of water just to get within his weight to fight him. He wanted to beat me up, but I don't think he can beat anybody up, to be honest with you. Usman about to make the walk.
Exciting times. I don't like. Why does everyone crap on Usman?
I mean, I think it's the combination of the style isn't what a lot of people want to see, right? Like, we still have a lot of people that all they want to see, and I'm sure we've all been at live events where you've heard sudsed up observers just telling you exactly what they want to see, and his style isn't necessarily that. I mean, I think there's certainly also the fact that he has a Nigerian flag draped over his shoulders that probably plays into it for some people. Same way it did with Tyron Woodley.
I mean, any night for me, it's hard for me to get super hyped for Kamaru Usman fight, because even though it could be like Rafael Dos Anjos or the Colby Covington performance or something like that, it could be any one of those 3 to 5 round decisions where it was like
the Dana Maya fight.
Yeah, it could be one of those. And
there's always moments that you can, like, as an observer, for me, there's always moments where I can go, okay, this is the thing I appreciate about that performance. But I fully understand the criticism of watching 25 minutes of him just kind of doing his thing against Damian Maia, where it's, not particularly dominant, not particularly entertained, it's not exciting. Yeah. It's dominant. He's winning the fight clearly, but it's not as thrilling as some of those fights.
So, Sean, we might have to sync you up once we start. What do you think about these new 8K cameras that the UFC is rolling with on the walkouts in the corners?
So I've actually been seeing these, and I don't even know if they're 8K or if they're different kinds.
I'm just making shit up.
Well, no, I get it, because that's a topic of conversation we have on Fridays on SmackDown as well. Because somebody came along and they said, oh, well, there's this certain kind of Sony camera or a different resolution or frame rate or something. I think it's cool. I think it looks really, really awesome. They did some for the Royal Rumble, like with the entrances there as well. I mean, I think it's awesome. I mean, switch up the presentation.
Yeah. I don't think they would work for the actual fight or a wrestling match, but I think they look really good for a cinematic intro. Spencer was pointing out in between the rounds, kind of gives a Rocky vibe almost, seeing them in their corners, the damage on their face. It's good. I like them.
I'm going to kick this cat out of my office. I don't know how he got in here. Come on, bud.
Man, Usman fights with the right kind of chip on his shoulder, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the other thing to the people not appreciating him. This is the first fight since Dana White came out and did the look, this dude's, you don't understand how much of a badass this dude is. And I talked to Usman kind of just towards the end of the year and asked him about it. This is a dude that's been on your case from the get-go. What does it mean to finally have him in your corner? And he's like, it makes a big difference. Not just from the whole, he's my boss and I want to impress my boss and want him in my corner, but Dana carries a ton of clout, right? Dana White says this dude's somebody you got to watch and he's a badass. Then more people go, okay, this is the guy I got to watch. He's a badass.
He's a minus 260 favorite. Oof. And the fight is minus 155 going to a decision. Where are you all at right now?
Bruce Buffer still is announcing the judges right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're in the same spot.
All right, cool.
I just see Herb Dean right now.
Yep, same.
Perfect. Cool.
That worked out.
I know I have some friends that have sprinkled the underdog here. So we'll be waiting to see if my WhatsApp chat with those guys lights up on a and new.
I swear it looks like a video game.
It does.
It does. It looks really good.
I love the different approach. I really do. Because, I mean, UFC has had largely the same presentation for quite a while. And it's one of those sports that's going to be able to adapt and have some new things. Like, they're going to be able to put some cameras in other places once they get motivated enough to do it.
Spencer, going off of what you were saying, I think Kamaru also spoke with ESPN's Mark Raymundi, and there was a quote that really stuck out, which was like, "You think?" Because listen, I was DMing, I was talking to Gilbert like yesterday before this fight. Nicest guy. I don't know if that's the truth in his personal life, but in terms of like our professional relationship, the nicest guy. Kamaru said something along the lines of like, you know, when you're training together, you're always thinking about how can I help their career. You never think to themselves, this guy is going to try and ruin mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
One of the things we talked about, and obviously this is a fight he had been preparing for last summer when the Masvidal fight came together and this one fell apart. Like, he was there, and so he was at the Black Zillions when the Black Zillions was still called Imperial Athletics, when it was the first three dudes that started it. Rashad Evans, George Santiago, Jay-Z Cavalcanti, under the leadership of and financial support of Glenn Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And Rashad brought him along and went, look, my little brother here is going to be a problem. He's going to grow up and be something. So he said, like, look, I was there before all of these other guys came. And the more that all of these other guys came as we went to different gyms and different facilities and more coaches, it just became harder and harder and harder.
Wow, the intensity. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
No,
Spencer. The intensity.
Ooh, I love it.
It's mean. For those wondering if the walkouts have started, yes, the fight's about to start, actually.
Yes.
This is going to be good. Because I think that the interesting thing that you don't often get from teammate fights.
Oh, no. Gilbert offered the touch of the gloves and got nothing.
Damn.
We haven't really heard any, like, I got the better of it, he got the better of it. I think they both got something to prove here. So this is going to be fun.
I'm so excited for this fight. Like,
dude, just that stare down completely transformed it for me.
Gilbert
coming out swinging
off right away.
And I spilled water on myself, as is tradition.
I do wonder if Gilbert coming out. I like that he's settled down now.
I like that he's being patient now. A nice body kick.
I was just about to say, like, is he going to come out and kind of hustle a little bit too fast? We know Usman knows how to pace himself. And
oh my God!
Oh,
huge right hand from Gilbert.
Gilbert dropped him, too. But Kamaru, to his credit, stayed on his feet.
He recovered quick.
Wow.
He being Kamaru Usman.
Oh, he killed
Gilbert
so
going
fast.
right at him.
Gilbert clearly has the speed advantage
and the power.
And
credit to him, he's taking the center of the octagon. It's my biggest fear was him getting backed up, and I don't think he's going to let it happen. Head kick almost lands.
That's a good change of fortunes for Usman. For Burns one to almost land that head kick, but end up on his back as a result.
But here's the fun part, right? Gilbert can take those risks a little bit because Kamaru doesn't seem interested in going on the ground with him.
That's wild.
Like, we're talking about a legit, Adelpho Vieira
nice.
side. That's old school jiu-jitsu right there. That's terrific. We're talking about a legit jiu-jitsu champ here.
Yeah. Gi and no gi, like.
Right. Right now, Gilbert Burns has won the exchanges off of his back.
Someone's asking about knockdowns. Yeah, Gilbert landed a punch. It buckled Kamaru. He didn't go off his feet, but he was like, he was dropping low.
He put a hand down.
Jean style. So
he put a hand down.
Yeah. I think Herb's gonna stand this up soon.
I mean, if they're active, I'm like, just let him. If he's gonna keep kicking him.
How do these kicks, John? As someone who's completed the John McCarthy course, Spencer. E, as he likes to be known. Where do we judge the kicks to the butt? Is that enough to maintain this position?
I mean, not for me, but I mean, Gilbert's fine being down there, right? So he's content to be down there. And so
Kamaru's so long.
If they're both going to do a little bit, then you kind of let them hang out. But
none of us have completed the Cub Swanson course, so I don't even know why we're talking about this.
Whoa!
Here we go. Back to the feet. Oh, that knee landed.
Oh, knee landed by Gilbert. Dude, he's so good.
Gilbert keeps switching it up. Even in the clinch, he's like going low to throw Usman off his game.
Mm-hmm.
Like going for the foot sweep, and then setting up like a shoulder strike out of the clinch. That is so smooth.
It's wild that this welterweight run for him started just on like he had thought about it.
He hurt him again. That left.
The cut was hurting him, but he kind of just said, "Yeah, all right, I'll take this short notice fight and I'll see how I do at welterweight." Now here we are.
Yeah, credit to his wife. She was the one who finally kind of forced him to make that change, and his coaches, but it was his wife first and foremost. Oh, nice body kick from Kamaru. Oh, a nice knee to the body from Gilbert.
Now, see, had I known that the fight would be like this and it would be Usman standing up, for better or for worse, I would have went in much more hyped about this fight.
I asked, this is actually the follow-up question I didn't get to, and someone's wondering who won round one. We've got a minute left on our boards. Oh,
Gilbert's
man.
winning so far.
Gilbert Burns is winning handily.
Kamaru is starting to land more, though, to his credit.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing that I want to see here going forward is, does Gilbert Burns slow down? Does Usman find a pace? Does he find a rhythm? He does have the reach advantage. It looks like he's starting to get that range down. So does the championship experience start kind of factoring in here?
It was a pretty swift looking takedown attempt, but
I wonder if Gilbert
shrugged it off.
Pace up though. He's throwing a lot of kicks. I asked Hunter Homesteck this on 1-2 Punch yesterday. Is this going to be Usman versus Covington or Usman versus Masvidal? And we both said Covington, and I'm glad to see it's trending in that direction. Oof.
As far as pace goes, I mean, Gilbert did just come off of the 5-round
Woodley fight. Yeah, he did great.
Woodley fight, and that was a really great performance. Now, granted, coming off of that was like what, May? It's been a while, so. Oof.
Well, but that was also one-way traffic, right?
Yeah.
So you have to wonder where that factors. But
fair point.
As far as starts go, it's a pretty good start to a championship fight.
No takedowns yet for Kamaru Usman or Gilbert Burns, for that matter.
Because I remember when Gilbert Burns' career started, outside of his debut, like every time he got taken to the scorecards, he was losing for the longest time. Like, and then that just stopped. And the last 2 years specifically, he's
remarkable.
He's just been fantastic.
I'm going to take this moment. Quick reminder, guys, hit us up with a sweet, sweet super chat donation. It's freezing cold in Vancouver, streets filled with snow, and that might just warm things up a little bit, you know. Thaw the ice. Hit subscribe, tap the like button. All that does a ton for the channel, so we thank you so much. How much, guys? We'll wait for the action to pick up, which is immediately.
Yes.
How rough do you think it is for Usman right now that it's his first time training for a fight with Trevor Whitman? Meanwhile, you've got Gilbert Burns, who's got the benefit of a camp that's been with Kamaru basically from the get-go.
I think it certainly sucks to have guys that know you extremely well in the opposite corner.
Sure.
But I think this is the second camp. I think he did the Masvidal camp or portions of it with Trevor Whitman, because he was definitely right, because I was supposed to be Gilbert. And so he got out of there. And as Gilbert has talked about, and as Usman has talked about himself, he was always planning on, right? Like as soon as Gilbert started coming up, he was like, it's probably going to happen. So I think I'm going to go rather than him go. And so that's one of the wrinkles I'm interested to see. Like, especially if he stays there, if he keeps that up.
That was tricky. He caught Usman caught Burns' leg kick and then fed him a little one.
And Gilbert already looks like he's slowing down a little bit to me.
It's wild to think like 9 years ago, something like this was like one of the more scandalous builds to like John Jones and Rashad Evans. Like, oh my God, they trained with each other.
To be fair, there's some bad blood there. Like they
sure.
hammed it up a lot. These guys have been mostly respect. Usman's been the only one who's been a little upset about it. Burns has been chilling.
But I mean, Rashad Evans saw his replacement walking in the door and then being like, "Hey, old man, get the hell out of here."
Shout out to Lacuzzi.
Also, they were like, by the way, Rashad, make sure you empty out underneath the ring. This guy needs to hang out there for a while too.
And then he didn't get the first title shot either. Oh. That was the extra rub, right? Like that was the extra John Jones dick move. Like, I won the belt on a shot that you were supposed to have, and now you're ready to go, but I'm a fight Rampage.
Usman's got a terrific jab. He rocked him.
He is hurt.
Oh man, he dropped Gilbert Burns very briefly with a right cross.
Gilbert shook his head. He's still eating punches.
Oh my god. Usman is an animal, dude. The way he's able to return fire.
He's just shrugging that takedown attempt off too.
Burns is busted up now.
Woo! Usman is landing at will.
Man.
Dude, Burns is having a lot of trouble right now. He's just getting stung with jabs and crosses.
Oh, he's feeling every single one of these from Usman.
I think I have to credit this to Lacuzzi's super chat donation.
Ooh. Fantastic.
Wow. We got to fight, boys.
And what I love, Usman isn't like, meh, let's go up against the cage and I'll bury my shoulder into your chest and hang out there for a half hour.
And he's not just...
Sean's still sour from that Fight Island.
He's picking his spots.
Ooh, I love it.
Picking them apart.
I can't really tell right now from the shadows, but it looks like Burns is busted open a little bit under that eye. Well, oh my god, and his nose too. Yeah. Oh, he's just getting walloped on.
This says a lot about Kamaru Usman too. To get rocked like he did in that first round, come back, put the pain on Burns, not let up, not go to the ground, not push against the cage,
switching stances and continuing to pop him.
Well, it's been a while. We've seen Burns in a hard, grueling fight. Oh, he dropped him
down with a jab.
He dropped him that time.
Pronouns, pal. Usman dropped Burns.
I keep mixing up Usman and Burns.
No, you say he dropped him. That's the listening to Joe Rogan for years that always gets us.
Dude, Joe Rogan was being a little weird earlier in the way.
I just love because they could use he dropped him and just apply it to any UFC trailer whatsoever, and it wouldn't matter.
Usman looks like he just got here. Like, he's so calm.
I hit a couple hook landed okay.
Guys, if y'all are watching this on the Pro Wrestling channel, make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/Fightful MMA. Shaq has a lot of cool content up there. Even if you're not an MMA fan, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to end up liking over there.
Put that UFC Fighters React playlist on loop for us.
Yeah.
Well. Ooh. Burns the nice takedown entry. Usman shoves it off. Wow, those are some good hips.
I'm so excited to see how this third round goes. Like, how does Gilbert Burns recover? Mm-hmm. How aggressive is Usman coming out? Look at him. Look at him.
Oh, man. I
love it.
It's so funny because Usman was so respectful at the end of round one. And then he got his licks in and he's like, F you, man.
Is that a 10-8?
Getting your licks in is not enough. Use BlueChew.com code Fightful.
That's a 10-8. Oh, sorry. Go on, John.
No, that's okay. I was just reiterating. BlueChew.com code Fightful. If getting your licks in just isn't enough.
You really are just built for this.
Yeah. Like, I wake up in a bed that I got from a sponsor, and I said, "This is my job."
There's the right hand that caused the stanky leg.
What a fantastic round for Kamaru Usman.
And this is the thing that you were asking about Trevor Whitman. These are the things that I want to see if he stays there too. Because I mean, Trevor Whitman, fantastic striking coach, fantastic technical and game plan coach. Kind of really selective with who he works with. Only works with high level people for the most part, and knows what it takes to build a champion and keep a champion.
He's like a bootsy
right out of
coach.
the gate.
Wow. Was that another jab?
That's it.
Oh!
He's follow-ups
He's
Kamaru
nasty.
Usman.
Herb Dean's about to stop it.
Yeah. Careful.
Burns fighting back.
Herb Dean will touch you, and then it's not over. Nope, now it's done.
That's it.
That's it. Kamaru Usman, round 3 TKO.
Kamaru Usman is 100%
Dude, this is next
a
level.
problem.
Well, he answered my question about how he would open the third round.
Yes. There, we just got to put some respect on my name.
I think Joe Rogan just said that Gilbert Burns tried to stand up and hit his head against the stool. So I hope he's okay. Dude, Kamaru Usman is pissed. And I love it.
Oof.
I love this Kamaru Usman. This was a championship caliber performance out of the gate to get rocked like that, come back, and then finish him. Finish Burns, pronouns pal.
Dude, Burns is bad. He's in bad shape.
This was the kind of performance he needed. We were talking about why don't people get excited for his fights? Why aren't people super hyped on him? This is the kind of performance where there's no excuse to not be super hyped about this guy.
No.
This was the absolute, undeniable number one contender, the best possible matchup. He got clipped out of the gate, both hands to the ground, in a bad spot, gets through that, and just flips the script.
And it wasn't just clipped once.
No, it was,
Gilbert was putting that on him the entire first round.
And that's what I like about Kamaru Usman. His 3 opponents have been Colby Covington, Masvidal off the BMF championship win. I mean, you had to give it to him there. And Gilbert Burns, as you mentioned, undisputed number one contender. That's a champion to me. It's not somebody saying, what's Dominic Cruz up to?
Right.
Let me get Faber. Where's Faber at? That's what I want to see out of a champion in the UFC. Is what Kamaru Usman's doing.
Yeah, I'm sorry for suggesting that Kamaru doesn't have enough power for welterweight.
He is
My bad.
scary, man.
Reminder, guys, if you're on the wrestling channel, every Friday, Shaq also does the 1-2 Punch podcast on the Fightful MMA channel. Worth checking out.
Yes, guys. Please. Please keep plugging me while I try and get this graphic done.
Well, if you're having trouble plugging someone else, you can use bluechew.com, code FIGHTFUL. Kamaru Usman with a huge victory, man.
And that mammoth human being in his corner is his brother Muhammad Usman, who was in the PFL heavyweight tournament this year. He is gigantic.
Well, if you want to be a mammoth human being,
come on.
Why? Okay, I'm not saying mine are as good as you, but the delivery is not there. But the quality of the puns are not as bad as you're making them out to be.
Whew, Kamaru freaking Usman, man.
That's a standout performance.
Yeah. Hell of a fight.
I'm not going to do any of the recency bias stuff of best title fight, but that's the kind of performance he needed. That's one of those ones where Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're still talking about how good he looked.
So let's talk about what right before here. We were talking about greatest welterweights. Obviously, GSP's up at the top. I've got Matt Hughes behind him. But if you were to say Kamaru Usman is as good or better than Tyron Woodley, I'd be like, yeah. I mean,
I know head to head.
Woodley had the 4 successful defenses. One was a draw, but I mean,
impressive. The one was a majority decision.
Yeah, exactly. There was the majority draw, the majority decision. Then it's Damian Maia. All due respect to Damian Maia, but come on. And the Darren Till win has not aged so well since it happened. But still, I'm not gonna discount him for beating Darren Till at that point.
Man, all credit to Gilbert. He's so visibly emotional right now. but he's still giving Kamaru his credit. He's still, thanking all of the coaches.
Yeah, like competitive side of it, withstanding, this has got to be hard, right? Like this is a dude. I don't know if you guys watch the countdown or any of the preview stuff that comes out from the UFC, but there's a clip in it of Gilbert fishing with his kids and asking one of his sons, like, who's daddy fighting next? What's Kamaru's daughter's name? Are you friends with her? Do you like her? And like these people full on are friends. Their families are connected. They spend time together. It's got to be hard.
Yeah. Well, what do you think Gilbert Burns' future looks like after this?
I mean, I don't think it changes a whole lot. It'll be certainly important to see what he does, who he gets next, and who he gets next. Wonder what was just said there. I'm sure Joe's telling it, and I will listen back to it at some point.
All right.
Certainly depends who he gets next, right, and how he looks in that. So I mean, probably you see him in there with.
All right, guys,
6-7 range.
I think we will wrap it up here. Thank you to everyone who joined. Spencer, I'll give you the floor first. Where can people find you? What do you want to let them know? And how do you feel about Gina Carano getting fired? Don't answer that last part.
They can follow me at Spencer Kite. You have it up on the screen. It is wonderful that you have that graphic there. I'm shameless about tweeting out all of my stuff, so it's the easiest way to get me. If you want to read everything firsthand as soon as I hit publish, sign up for the Keyboard Kimura newsletter, spencerkite.substack.com. Try to write it most days, 3-4 times a week is usually what it gets to. Some previews, some predictions, some editorial stuff, just a bunch of different things. Everything is out front of the paywall right now because it's just launched at the end of last year when I was in the middle of moving. And so it'll eventually get to some exclusive content, but for now it's all there, and that's the best place to check me out.
Boom. Sean, do you have anything to add before I wrap this up?
I will be doing a Sean Ross stats on UFC 258. It'll be out tomorrow morning, as it is with every UFC pay-per-view. So check that out. Otherwise, check out youtube.com/FightfulMMA, guys.
Boom. There we go. Sean, Fightful Pro Wrestling, thank you for hosting us. We'll be here for every pay-per-view. For sure, main event, probably co-main. We'll see. Depends if they all look like this main card. Please go subscribe to Fightful MMA. The numbers have been ticking up day by day, so that's really reassuring. We got a bunch of fun React content, tier lists, fighter picks. We're always working on new ideas. If you ever have something you want to pitch, some cool content, just comment it on the YouTube videos. Best place to do so. Hope you guys enjoyed UFC 258. We'll see you back on Fightful MMA next Saturday for the watch-along live stream for Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis. Gotta do that crappy outro, folks. So stay tuned for everything Fightful and so delightful. Peace out.